Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Inspiring Stories. Cliff always just entertains me with his inspiring stories. And today it's going to be a combination of a wish upon a star and a magical journey. And it made me immediately want to go on the journey. I can't wait for you to share, Cliff.
Thanks, April. When I was young, 7 years old to be a matter of fact, and I grew up in Buffalo, New York, my uncle who lived in California was getting married. So my mom, her brother, she decided to take our entire family to California, not only for the wedding, but she was an educator, so she wanted to show us the beautiful state of California. And she actually brought us all the way down with her and my father as a family trip all the way down into Mexico to see other cultures. And it was my first airplane trip. This is 1967, and super excited. But what I was most excited about is she said, we're going to bring you to Disneyland. Now, you got to remember, back in those days, the biggest show on television for a kid was The Wide World of Disney. And Walt Disney himself would come on and introduce the show every week. And we would sit down in our living room with a little black and white TV, because it wasn't color TV yet at that time. And Walt Disney would, bring us cartoons and movies from the Disney studios. And it was just the best show for me as a little kid. I just loved it. I couldn't wait for it. And so now I'm getting to go to Disneyland, which was fairly new in those days at that time. And nobody I knew in my neighborhood had ever been to Disneyland, So as it would happen to be, by just strange coincidence, when we got to Disneyland, it was the opening of their newest ride. And their newest ride was the Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, again, you got to imagine a little boy, 7 years old, who would love pirates, right? And we were we were actually the first group to go in and actually see the Pirates of the Caribbean. And my eyes as big as saucers, this incredible ride that Disney has put together and still has today that people enjoy. So a fantastic trip. But the irony of life is this. 30 years later, I was working for the Kohler Company, and I was transferred to Orlando, Florida. And at that time, Kohler had come to a partnership with Disney to develop a new community called Celebration outside of Disney World in Florida. And I started working with a partner selling Disney and working with them on this community. And because of that, I was able to go into the parks and see all the underground workings of Disney. And we worked with them so much for so many years that they gave me family passes into Disney. So my kids grew up in Disney here in Florida, but it wasn't as special as it was to me. But the irony of life is, who would ever think that, first of all, we would have been the first groups into the state-of-the-art ride of the world, and then 30 years later, I would be actually working with them and helping them create their parks and their hotels and their rides. It was just a sort of a out-of-world experience. So the point of this message is just to enjoy the ride, accept the ride, we can't plan. Our life is not a straight line, okay? Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that we don't try to do what we can do and plan and do things. We always do. But sometimes life just brings us on this beautiful journey.
Mm-hmm. And what a beautiful story, Cliff. Thank you. And reminding our audience to share their stories, to share the gift of how an experience so young impacted their journey. And it gives other people encouragement and joy and inspiration, as we work to do every week. We look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will see you again next week for another inspiring story.
Thanks, April.